Hello students, you are watching my YouTube channel. I am Manoj Kumar Ekka. Don't forget to press the like button and encourage me by subscribing my channel. So today I will discuss with you Act 1 Scene 2. In this scene, we'll see that it opens in Belmont where Portia, the rich and beautiful heiress, resides or stays. She shares with her maid Marisa her doubts concerning her future due to the strange provisions or the arrangements of her father's will. And according to the will, she is to be won by the suitors who chooses correctly from among the three caskets made of gold, silver and lead. Portia ridicules the suitors who have come earlier to try their luck, showing her disapproval. When Marisa reminds her of Bassanio, she remembers him and has tender thoughts for him. And in this scene, we'll see that it is like that of a prose and it deals in indirect explanations and characterizations. We see the scene that is taking place in Belmont, a room in Portia's house, and then there is entry of Portia and Marisa, and Portia speaks. By my troth, Marisa, my little body is weary of this great world. So by my troth means by my faith. So Marisa says that I am telling you the truth that I am with this little body feeling sick and tired in this unlimited world. And then Marisa speaks. You would be sweet, madam, if your miseries were in the same abundance as your good fortune are. So that means, oh my dear sweet lady, you would feel tired in this vast world if your misfortunes are in number more than your good fortunes are. And then see the line. And yet for aught I see, they are as sick that surfeit with too much as they starve with nothing. So she says, however, in my own assessment, in my own judgment about this world that I am observing in the world, the people who possesses too much wealth are more sick than the other persons who are starving with nothing. Then she says, it is no mean happiness, therefore, to be seated in the mean. Superfluity comes sooner by white hairs, but competency lives longer. So she says that it may be estimated or guessed that happiness can reach having seated in the middle order. And what is the middle order? In the average position, that is, anybody else can be happy seated on a very huge wealth, when another can be happy having neither too much nor too little. So generally it is seen that the people who belong to plenty of wealth, having plenty of wealth, money, comfort grow and they soon grow older than the people who have some little enough to lead their life. That is, not much and not little. Such people who have not too much or not too little can enjoy life successfully and can live longer than the people who have too much money and comfort. This is quite true, isn't it? The more money you are having, you are more worried how to save it and where to keep it. Just you see the example of when the monies were changed, demonetization started, how people were in trouble, right? Then Portia speaks. Good sentences and well pronounced. That means Portia says that, dear Marisa, you have told very good, very nice way. Your sentences are as maxims with wisely sounded advice. Then Marisa says, they would be better if well followed. So she says, I think it would give good feelings if these are well followed. Then Portia goes on to say, if to do were as easy as to know what were good to do, chapels had been churches and poor men cottages, princes' palaces. So she says that if it had been as easy to perform such good sentences as it is, but to know these sentences, or it is but to be taught that small chapels, that is small places, would have been changed into high places of worship, that is into great churches. And it may be thought like little cottages of the people would have been converted into highly decorated buildings, having been fitted for the princes, where they can live in. Then goes on to say, see the line, it is a good divine that follows his own instructions. So she says, Marisa, you have to learn that when a priest gives his advices for others, and when he obeys and acts according to his advices, he must be rewarded as a good priest. Then it is a good divine, that's what he said. Then I can easier teach 20 that were good to be done than be one of the 20 to follow mine own teaching. So she said, I can easily teach 20 people at a time what are good to be done, but it is not easy for myself or for me to have become one of those 20 people to follow my own instructions or teaching. Is it not, Marisa? That's what she says. Then continue, let's see. The brain may devise laws for the blood, but a hot temper leads over a cold decrease. So she says, our human brain may devise some law, make some laws or principles for the blood, that is for the body to follow. But a hot temper, those are very angry people, our rich disposition neglects our moral orders, because I think such moral orders have some bad effect on our heart. Then see, such a hair is madness, the youth to skip over the meshes of good counsels, the cripple. But this reasoning is not in the fashion to choose me a husband. So she says, thus a hot temper jumps over a cold decree. In our youth, we have been as much energetic and much wild. Yeah, it is clear. At the young age, everybody becomes energetic and wild. And it may be called the madness of youth, that we generally leap over the trap of good advices, paying no heed to. And at that age, young age, we don't listen the good advices given by the elders, isn't it? That's what she said. I think, Marisa, sometimes good advices may be estimated as a lame creature which can be compared to youth, because such lame creature does not know to keep the pace, gap, to avoid its snare, means the problems or the dangers, as a hare avoid its. Then say, oh me, the word choose, I may neither choose whom I would, nor refuse whom I dislike. So is the will of a living daughter curbed by the will of a dead father. So she says, Marisa, tell me, these kind of logic or arguments, what I am telling you, do you think it would help me to choose a husband for myself? But the word choose have no value to me, because I have no right to choose a husband for myself according to my desire. You know well, Marisa, my father is no more in the world, but when he was alive, he made a will for my marriage. I am his only living daughter. I cannot ignore his will. So she says, is it not hard, Marisa, that I cannot choose one nor refuse one? So it's really, isn't it? She says that only I cannot choose my husband, as there is a condition, Marisa. In fact, it is very hard for me, that's what she says, and that I cannot choose one nor refuse none. Then Marisa speaks, your father was ever virtuous, and holy men at their death have good inspirations. Therefore, the lottery that he hath devised in these 3 chests of gold, silver, and lead, whereof who chooses his meaning chooses you, will no doubt never be chosen by any rightly, but one who shall rightly love. So Marisa tries to explain to Portia that it is your father who had to lead ever a virtuous life, and he was a good men. I believe that such good men at their death leave good inspiration for those who are their dearest and nearest ones. But dear madam, do not feel anxiety. Don't be worried, that's what she said. The lottery he had devised in these three chests of gold, silver and lead. It is my belief that it would be chosen rightly by the right persons who really loves you. Then see the line. But what warmth is there in your affection towards any of these princely suitors that are already come? So she says, but I want to know about your affections towards the persons who are wealthy and aristocratic, means very high class society people, that is, who are royal suitors to marry you through the casket lottery, and they have come here already. Then Portia's dialogue. I pray thee, overname them, and as thou namest them, I will describe them, and according to my description, level at my affection. So she says, very good. Kindly tell their names one by one. When you will tell their names, I would try describe them, and then I request you will guess my affection about them according to my description, my explanation. I pray to you, you tell their names. Then Marisa says, first there is a Neapolitan prince. So he tells the name of Neapolitan prince. Then Portia, that's a colt indeed, for he doth nothing but talk of his horse, and he makes it a great appropriation to his own good parts, that he can show him himself. So Portia says that, oh Nerissa, I think he is indeed a colt. Colt means, a young baby of a horse. Do you know he does know nothing but talking of his horse. It is very interesting that he thinks it is his great qualification, see, and he thinks it has great talent, that he can shoe his horse himself. Okay, that's what she says about whom? About the Neapolitan prince. Then Marisa says, then is there the county paladin. So she says, what do you say about the county paladin? Portia, he doth nothing but frown, as who should say, and you will not have me choose. He hears merry tales and smiles not. So Portia says that, Nerissa, I think he is nothing but a frown, because as if he is not, he is to say, I am to care a little if you like me or do not, but I care not. So he doesn't care whether you like me or not like me. Nerissa, see the man. He hears interesting stories, but he does not know to smile. Then you see, I fear he will prove the weeping philosopher when he grows old, being so full of unmannerly sadness in his youth. I had rather be married to a death's head with a bone in his mouth than to either of these. God defend me from these two. So Portia says that, I think and fear of him, that when he will grow old he would become a sad philosopher, because he is not a youth, but yet he is dominated with an unmannerly sadness. Always remain sad, this fellow. Oh Nerissa, I would rather marry a death's head. So she is ready to marry the death's head, that is, to a skeleton with the bones in its mouth, than marry either of these two men, the Prince of Naples and the Count Palatine. I pray to God he would protect me from these two suitors who have come to win me. Next line, Marisa says, how say you by the French Lord Monsieur Le Bon? So means that, tell what do you want to say about the French Lord Monsieur Le Bon. And then Portia speaks. God made him, and therefore let him pass for a man. In truth, I know it is a sin to be a mocker. But he, why he hath a horse better than the Neapolitans, a better bad habit of frowning than the Count Palatine. So she says that, I think God creates him as a man. Therefore, I have to regard him as a man. But it is true that it is a sin to make a mock against anyone, because all are created by God. So she is speaking against this man. It is a mocking, isn't it? So that's what it's telling. It is a sin. Then we cannot taunt at all. Yet I am going to comment about him. I think he is much interested to his horse than is the Prince of Naples. Even I think he can frown more than that of the German Count. Then continue. Let's see. He is every man in no man. If a throstle sing, he falls straight a capering. He will fence with his own shadow. So she's saying that I can tell about him that he possesses every man's fault within him, but I think he is not a man at all. It is much interesting that if he hears anybody singing, at the same moment he starts to dance or jump. I think he is such a kind of man that who feels to fight with his sword against his own shadow when he sees it. Then next line. If I should marry him, I should marry 20 husbands. If he would despise me, I would forgive him. For if he loved me to madness, I shall never requite him. That's what she says. That means she says that it is true for me that if I were to marry him, I would marry not a single head, but at a time 20. So marrying him will be equal to marrying 20 people. If he despises me, I would forgive him. Okay, if he cheats me, I'll forgive. Because if he loves me with a love of madness, I shall never requite him. That I shall never return him it. I'll not pay him back the love in return. See the next text. Marisa. What say you then to Falconbridge, the young baron of England? So she says, well, what do you guess about Falconbridge, the young baron of England? And Portia says, you know, I say nothing to him, for he understands not me, nor I him. He hath neither Latin, French, nor Italian. And you will come into the court and swear that I have a poor penny word in the English. So this means that yes, you know that I want nothing to say about him, but the fact is that he doesn't understand me, nor I understand him. It is very hard that he does not know Latin, nor French, nor Italian. So I am telling you that I know well, and you have to swear in the court that really I have a very poor knowledge in English. So with my little language of English, I cannot understand him. See then, continuation of the line. He is a proper man's picture, but alas, who can converse with a dumb show? In fact, I confess that he is a man with a fine looking figure. But Marisa, it is very sad that it is he who can hold a conversation with a man without talking nothing, but he remains silent and gives his consent with a dumb show, that is by means of sign and gesture. So he does that. How oddly he is suited. I think he bought his doublet in Italy, his round hose in France, his bonnet in Germany, and his behavior everywhere. So, but it is very strange of his dresses. He has worn some strange mixture dresses like doublet, that is close fitting body jacket, that is from Italy, round hose, that is stocking from France, and bonnet, that is a cap or a hat you can say, that is from he has brought from Germany. Even he has borrowed his manners from different countries. All the behaviors are from different countries. In fact, it is ridiculous for him, Marisa. Then Marisa speaks. What think you of Scottish Lord, his neighbor? So yes, tell me what you think about the Scottish Lord, his neighbor. Then Portia says, that he hath a neighborly charity in him, for he borrowed a box of the ear of the Englishman, and swore he would pay him again when he was able. I think the Frenchman became his surety and sealed under for another. So Portia says that he has a good neighborly charity which a man should have to feel it in him. And she says that I have felt such because in the way he has behaved to his neighbor, the Englishman. What is the behavior? See, the Englishman gave him a blow. Blow means beat him on his ear, and then he had sworn that he would take the same advantage for him when it would be possible to take it for him. I have to guess that the Frenchman would become his surety to make the Englishman out, that he would have to keep his word. So that promise he has made, that later on he'll take back the revenge. It is interesting that when the Englishman threw another blow on the Frenchman's ear, the Frenchman repeatedly made him aware that he would have to face it when times would come to be paid the debt. It's funny, isn't it? Then Nerissa speaks again. How like you, the young German, the Duke of Saxony's nephew? And to that reply Portia gives, very vilely in the morning when he is sober, and most vilely in the afternoon when he is drunk. When he is best, he is a little worse than a man, and when he is worst, he is little better than a beast. And the worst fall that ever fell, I hope I shall make shift to go without him. So when Nerissa asks about the Duke of Saxony's nephew, Portia says that, Nerissa, I think it is bad in the morning, so I hate him in the morning when he is sober, that is, in his perfect mind. Then I feel hatred him in the afternoon when he is drunk. In fact, when he is in his best mood, he is little worse than a man, and when he is worse mood, he is little better than a beast. But if I have to be victimized of the worst misfortune in my life, I pray that I would be able to manage to avoid him. If I fall in such worst situation, I would not have to marry the man. The Nerissa speaks. If he should offer to choose and choose the right casket, you should refuse to perform your father's will. If you should refuse to accept him. So Nerissa says that, think, madam, what would you have to do if he ventures to contest the lottery and if he makes the choice of the right casket? Then if you should refuse to wed him, you should refuse your father's will. That's what she says. Then Portia goes on to speak. Therefore, for fear of the worst, I pray thee, set a deep glass of Rhenish wine on the contrary casket. For if the devil be within and that temptation without, I know he will choose it. I will do anything, Nerissa, I will be married to a sponge. So Portia has another good idea to tempt that person. That says that, therefore Nerissa, it is a fear also for me. So if something goes wrong, worse circumstances that is going to happen, then I'll be in problem. So I am requesting you to set a deep, means red color wine on the contrary of the casket. I think he would choose the very casket because he does not know without drinking. He loves to drink, so he'll choose that drink and he'll forget. So I think when he would see such costly wine, he would have to be much tempted for the casket, and I think he must choose the wrong casket, and that's why I am telling you to do that. But when he would open the casket, he would find the devil to wait for him inside. But Nerissa, I must have to do anything to avoid such kind of marriage to such kind of person. And he says that person sponge, that is, to a such drunkard one. Sponge quality is what? To suck the water, no? So that's why she calls him sponge. Then Nerissa speaks. You need not fear, lady, the having any of these lords. They have acquainted me with their determinations, which is indeed to return to their home, and to trouble you with no more suit, unless you may be warned by some other sort than your father's imposition, depending on the casket. So Nerissa here assures to Portia that, Madam, be happy. You no need to feel fear in getting married to any of these persons, because they have all said me about their decision that they would get returned to their own home, and they had decided that they would not bother you with any wish in entering the context to win you as their wife. Even they have told that they would not accept at all your father's conditions which have been prescribed for them. It is the cause that the conditions of your father are hard to be imposed upon the suitor. It is their opinion that if they had been another condition to be imposed on a casket to win you by your father, they had told that they would try to exercise it. But the present condition is very difficult for them. That's what she says. Then Portia speaks. If I live to be as old as Sibylla, I will die as chaste as Dinah, unless I be obtained by the manner of my father's will. So here Portia says, Marisa, if I had been to live as old as ancient Sibylla for years, who was the woman to have been trusted prophetic power? So Sibylla is one of the representative women. I would not have to marry without the terms which were imposed by my father's will. I am telling you that I am ready to remain unmarried and untouched like Dinah, one of the examples, the goddess of virginity in classical mythology of Greek. If there is no suitors has been able to win me through the casket test which had been decided by my father. Then see, I am glad this parcel of wooers are so reasonable, for there is not one among them, but I dote on his very absence, and I pray God grant them a fair departure. I am very glad in knowing that they all have decided to leave the contest. I am glad in the sense because I like none of them. That's what she says. In fact, there is not one of them whose departure from Belmont I do not like. That is, I like that all of them should leave my place. I pray to God earnestly as if He grants them a fair departure from Belmont. Then Nerissa speaks. Do you not remember, lady, in your father's time, a Venetian, a scholar and a soldier that came hither in company of the Marquis of Montferrat? Portia. Yes, it was Bassanio, as I think. So was he called. So Nerissa asks, oh madam, don't you remember? It was in your father's time, a Venetian who might have been a scholar and a soldier who came here in the company of the Marquis of Montferrat. And Portia says, yes, Nerissa, yes, I do. I remember. That was Bassanio. That was his name. I remember well. Then Nerissa speaks. True, madam, he of all the men that ever my foolish eyes looked upon was the best deserving a fair lady. So Nerissa says, yeah ma'am, that was the person only in my eyes that you deserve it and he deserves you. Portia, I remember him well and I remember him worthy of thy praise. And she also agrees. Portia also agrees. Yes, what you say is correct and he is the person that I admire also. Then enter a servant. How now? What news? Servant, the 4 strangers seek for you, madam, to take their leave, and there is a forerunner come from a 5th, the Prince of Morocco, who brings word the prince, his master, will be here tonight. So they ask, tell me now, what is the news that you have brought? And the servant replies, madam, there are 4 foreign suitors are wanting you because they have expressed their wish to leave Belmont. But it is the news that a messenger from the 5th suitor has reached here. He has come as the forerunner from the Prince of Morocco. Means ahead of the prince he has come. And the messenger has reached here to inform you that his master, the Prince of Morocco, would come tonight here. Then Portia speaks. If I could bid the 5th welcome with so good heart as I can bid the other 4 farewell, I should be glad of his approach. So Portia says, if I had been able to welcome the 5th suitor with a glad heart, I would be able to bid farewell to the other 4 also. It would be a cheerful feeling in hearing the news of another suitor's arrival. Then see the next line. If he have the condition of a saint and the complexion of a devil, I had rather he should shrive me than wive me. So she says, however, if this suitor belongs to a black complexion, black, just like the saying of a devil, it is I who would dislike him to get married. I am to confess that even if this suitor belongs to a good saint-like qualities, in his black complexion. I should rather request him to perform as a religious man, and I should confess my sin to him, that I would not accept him as my husband, because I deeply dislike devil-colored suitor in spite of having all good qualities. Then see, come Marisa, Shira, go before, whilst we shout the gate upon one who up, another knocks at the door. So let's go Marisa and see who has come and face the situation. So here we conclude Act 1 Scene 2, and we shall meet in the next video, in which we shall discuss Act 1 Scene 3. Till then, thank you very much. God bless you.